Reported trade talks involving Pascal Siakam going to the Atlanta Hawks have dominated discussion amongst Raptors fans over the past few days. And today, we have a development on that front as a key piece into a potential Atlanta Hawks-Toronto Raptors trade seems to be ineligible to be traded for the next 30 days. So we'll break that down along with other reports that have indicated discussions have continued between the Toronto Raptors and Atlanta Hawks and deals that could potentially go down. So let's just dive into the nitty-gritty as one name that, if you've been keeping up with all the drama involving the Atlanta Hawks and Toronto Raptors, has been thrown around a bunch, is Kobe Buffkin. As it started off, Eric Kareen basically came out and said that the Raptors, there's lots of interesting possibilities between a Hawks-Raptors trade, but the Raps have really liked Kobe Buffkin in the draft. So Eric Kareen, a Raptors beat reporters, come out and said, where the Raptors were drafting in a similar range to the Atlanta Hawks, they valued Kobe Buffkin very highly. They regarded him as a very strong player. Obviously, we went in the direction of a Grady Dick, a guy that can knock down threes, can be a floor spacer, more so fits the needs of this current roster, especially when Fred VanVleet was on the team. We didn't really need another quick sort of slashy guard and all that, even though Fred wasn't much of a slasher. I digress. Kobe Buffkin was a guy that we very much regarded highly in this year's NBA draft, even if we didn't select him, but he was selected a couple picks later to the Atlanta Hawks. And this is where things get interesting, as a few days ago, as the news was coming out, as a lot of the rookies were getting signed, their deals were getting locked in, confirmed, Kobe Buffkin, his contract was not officially signed by the Atlanta Hawks, which allowed him to still be traded, right? Once these players sign on the dotted line, they are ineligible to be dealt in a move within the next 30 days. And the Atlanta Hawks and Raptors had a lot of talks, a lot of reports going on about the two teams discussing deals, and Kobe Buffkin was still eligible to be traded, a guy that apparently the Raptors regarded very highly. Well, now news has come out that Kobe Buffkin has finally signed with the Atlanta Hawks. It's on the dotted line. The Hawks have signed Kobe Buffkin. There's a picture of him signed on the piece of paper. So it's official, meaning that this asset the Atlanta Hawks currently have is ineligible to be traded over the next 30 days. Now, does this mean no deal could potentially be done between the Atlanta Hawks and Pascal Siakam within that time frame, or later on this summer if they pick back up and sort of trade talks? As Michael Grange has come out, the Raptors are a little bit skeptical whether or not they're going to give Pascal Siakam that giant extension, if it's the right direction to go, or do they more so build around Scotty Barnes, right? Those are interesting discussions that have to be made. And now with another asset not available on the table to the team that has been most, at least reportedly, interested in your top guy in Pascal Siakam, makes it less likely a deal could potentially go down. However, there has been other reports indicating that these talks are still ongoing. Basically, Brett Siegel came up and said that keep an eye on the Atlanta Hawks as they now have 18 players under contract after signing rookie Muhammad Gay. I didn't search up the pronunciation. My apologies on this. To a standard NBA deal, the Hawks have been in constant contact with the Toronto Raptors in recent weeks to discuss a trade involving Pascal Siakam. So that could be a potential route where the Hawks just give us a ton of young players, a ton of young assets. We go in that direction of rebuilding around a Scotty Barnes, or retooling, because we still have OG Scotty, Jakob Poeltl, right? Gary Trent Jr., guys that can floor space, that can do different things out there on the court. Maybe a 3-team deal could potentially end up going down. And a Locked On Atlanta Hawks reporter, podcast, has a couple insiders apparently discussed this on his pod. It was summarized pretty well on a Raptors Reddit and said that two structures that they can see happening is DeJounte Murray along with less assets going to Toronto in a deal, or DeAndre Hunter, whatever else you can put into that trade. So those are the two frameworks that he's heard of essentially could potentially be going on. I think Siakam's probably available, not super available, right? Jalen Johnson's another name that we haven't discussed a bunch on the Raptors Digest podcast as a player that could come back. Knocks down threes, plays defense. I'm not sure if he's a lottery pick or mid-first round pick a couple seasons ago. So Jalen Johnson's pretty solid there. But basically, he's been, and this info he's discussed directly with Jake Fisher, had him onto this podcast doing his thing. But mentions to keep an eye out on this for the future. He thinks Pascal would work better with Trey than Trey plus Murray. So also adds, and we saw the report for this as well, that Mark Stein in his Substack chat today said that the Atlanta Hawks are still interested in Siakam despite Kobe Buffkin getting signed. So This doesn't mean that the talks, the potential deals are over. There's something that's completely thrown out the window at this point, but definitely makes it less and less likely that a deal is going to end up going down between the Toronto Raptors and Atlanta Hawks if Kobe Buffkin is not available, at least for the next 30 days. This is a guy we've talked about on recent videos. Solid guard that could come in the Raptors without Fred VanVleet now could always add a little bit of guard depth, especially if we're moving in that youth direction. But personally, I'm not that encouraged by Atlanta Hawks deal unless there's a 3-team sort of package going on. I mean, DeJounte Murray, you're bringing him in. Sure, he's cool. Averaged nearly a triple-double for the San Antonio Spurs a couple seasons ago, but him on a expiring deal as well, similar to Pascal Siakam, you're going to have to pay him a heck of a lot of money come next off season. So I get you have to pay good players, and having a guard that can facilitate, do those types of things, but he's not that elite of a shooter, so it doesn't make him a perfect complementary piece to a Scotty Barnes, a Jakob Poeltl sort of led team who we've locked into over the next 4 years at $80 million per season, especially Jakob Poeltl, not playing with his best friend or homie Yakin skills, right? That would be a weird sort of move for the Raptors to go on, like moving a mid-level deal or even worse to sort of fit a positional need, I guess. I don't think that's the right direction for the Toronto Raptors. If we are going in a youth movement wave, Hunter is an interesting asset, AJ Griffin, right? Buffkin, if we wait the 30 days, would be more appealing to myself, if we're going to talk trades, if we're going to try to make a potential deal go down. But, Jalen Johnson, as mentioned, doesn't really excite me, especially now that we have McDaniels signed to this squad. What role will Jalen Johnson really have on this team? Onyeka Okongwu is definitely a player with a lot of potential, but if you're developing him and Precious Achiuwa at the same time, I feel like they're very redundant in terms of skill sets. Okongwu's a better rebounder, probably better defender, at the rim and stuff. Precious is a little bit more to his game in terms of ball handling and three-point shooting, even if it's not that consistent or that polished just yet. But again, the Atlanta Hawks don't have a lot of those assets, and they don't have draft capital that they can really add to the mix to add to a potential Siakam trade, whether DeJounte Murray's involved or not. And if DeAndre Hunter is the center of your trade package, right, for an all-NBA dude, I get it with the NBA cap and stuff, players potentially getting super maxes, potentially getting just even max contracts in general, become less and less value. Even though the cap is rising, right, the penalties for exceeding the cap are going up, but the cap is also going up, so you can also bring in a little bit more money. So there's two ways to sort of look at the changing evolving cap situation across the NBA. I don't know. It's a fairly interesting discussion. It's something to keep an eye out for. That Drop in Dimes Twitter account again is saying the Hawks, I think Sixers, 3 teams are interested. He said a deal's coming for Pascal. I'm not going to take that too much seriously unless I'm given a big 2-minute disclaimer at the start of a video, but it's all interesting stuff. If you want to stay up to date with everything regarding this Toronto Raptors team, definitely hit that subscribe button. It means the world to me. It means the world to us here at the Raptors Digest. So you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.